Good morning, everyone. Already in a previous class, we have seen how to write that and read that into an Excel file. You are yet to deal with the Windows application that we are reading from the Excel data. Let me just give a quick walkthrough of what we've seen in yesterday's class. Anyone who is coming here for the first time today?
Yes, sir. This is first time, sir.
Okay. Just take the first two class recordings from the Visualpath, okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Jaina, before starting the class, just have to inform you that yesterday just I have renewed my initially I have like installed that UiPath in my system, but it was expired, so just I again renewed that. But I found that like Excel option is not coming there. TXT option is there. So something is missing or what happening?
Yeah, you need to install them. I'll just show you how.
So,
Okay. So do I need to again that uninstall and then install that?
No. You need to install them as add-ins. Nothing to do with reinstallation.
Okay.
See, a couple of these ones you have to install them manually. I'll tell you how. So let us say that you are not getting a couple of things in here. Okay, you can see the screen, right? Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you click on here, there is something called as manage packages. Just click on there,
Okay.
and then you can see. Go to all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you need to scroll through what are the ones you do not have.
Okay.
So if something is not there, it will come as install. If it is
Mm-hmm.
come like this, that means it is already installed. Just click on install, it will get installed. Just it's an
Okay.
add-ins. Okay.
Okay. So I
So
need to install everything, all or specific from that.
you go with all what you have, right? So see, you can see uipath.excel.activities. I think
Mm-hmm.
for this it will come as install here. You just need to click on that.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
Okay. I already
Yeah.
installed, so I'm getting it as uninstall.
Yeah. 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 I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Jayant, one question here.
Yeah.
So I downloaded this UiPath, but in my machine already SQL Server was there. I think he did not ask me anything like anywhere like we need to give the connection details and all.
No, it
Is
doesn't
it so?
ask you. It doesn't ask you. It just the SQL Server instance helps you to set up the UiPath server instance in the backend.
Sorry.
It doesn't ask you anywhere the details.
Okay, then how the UiPath will interact with the SQL Server?
No, the UiPath robot service is there, right? That kind of interacts with it in the backend. You don't have to authenticate or anything. It goes to the Windows credentials. You have specified Windows credentials, right, for SQL Server, or you have specified custom credentials.
Sorry.
Have you specified Windows credentials or custom credentials
Custom credentials.
for SQL Server?
Yeah.
So probably while setting up the orchestrator, it would ask the credentials then.
Okay. And one more question: when you're logging to UiPath Studio, so we don't have any user ID password for that, like Blue Prism.
Yeah, it doesn't require. See,
Okay, fine.
Blue Prism's problem there is Blue Prism has control room inbuilt into the client, right? So control room is where you have access role management or the scheduling of the bots, and that is kind of something that not every user should have. That is the reason Blue Prism has the authentication. Whereas UiPath Studio is only for developing. The actual control room management, system management, everything is present in the orchestrator. That is varied from one user to another user according to their role, right? So that is the reason for orchestrator it has authentication. As per the client all you're doing is just doing the build part. That is the reason this does not have the authentication. Whereas in Blue Prism, the client itself includes the control room, system manager, administrative area, everything. Clear?
Okay, fine.
Any other questions?
No, fine. Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys. So if you remember in our last class, we tried to launch the Excel using Excel application scope. Get the range of the data present in the sheet 1, store that in the DT table, and then iterate through the DT table, get each row item of credit type and amount. Now, the question I asked yesterday was, should the launch application be inside the loop or outside the loop? Right. Obviously, the launch application should be outside the loop. So let us first, immediately after the Excel is over, before I start my for loop, let me drag and drop the launch application part. So when you type open application, you get that. Drag and drop the open application just before the for loop has started. And you can either give the path or I need to indicate which application you want to run. So let me first manually launch that application. And then click on indicate window on the screen. You need to specify which application you want to launch. So just hover over this application and click. It automatically retrieves the .exe of it. Now drag and drop the for loop inside the do activity, because see, whatever you are doing in this particular application, that application related part should be done inside the do activity only. If you remember, that's what I have told for Excel as well. Any Excel operation should be done inside the do activity. Now, inside my for loop, I am doing some application related actions. So that should come inside the do activity. So I dragged and dropped the for loop inside the do activity, and in here I'll start continuing my ones. So if you remember, I am getting the credit type, I am also getting the amount. So I need to do two checks. First check is if the amount is greater than 0 or lesser than 0. If the amount is greater than 0, then I would like to click on the withdrawal. Sorry, I need to click on the deposit. If the amount is less than 0, I need to click on the withdrawal. Just give me a minute, guys. I'll get my charger. So I see that there is only. All right. So let us start writing into that application. So first you need to specify an if condition. I also wanted to do this part in two different ways to show you how differently it can be done. First, I'll write this chunk in a sequence. I also write this chunk in a flowchart as well. Not the whole thing, just the if else condition part. So let us start doing. So first I'll apply an if condition to check. My condition is amount greater than or equal to 0. So if it is true, then what I should do, else what I should do. So if amount is greater than 0, then I need to click on the deposit button. So I have a click option. So let us pull that.
James, so why do we need to check if the amount is greater than 0 or not for the deposit? Because
If amount
only for withdrawal we need to check, right?
No, see, let us say that the state is in withdrawal. Now, see,
Okay.
we are looping through each multiple amounts, right? So let us
Yes.
say previous amount is in withdrawal status. Let us say previous amount was negative. Now, the value that is selected is withdrawal. Should I not check the amount is greater than 0 and then go to deposit?
Then first we should check if it's withdrawal state or deposit state, right? Before even checking.
Does it matter? If amount is greater than 0, you're using this part in the then. If you're using amount less than 0, it will come in else. All you're
Okay.
doing is you're reversing the condition. The then will become else and else will become then.
Okay.
The kind of things you're doing is still the same, right?
Okay.
Got it? You're writing the negate statement of the
Okay.
if you're checking for withdrawal. Still the actions you're performing is the same. If you're writing amount less than 0, this part will come into the else and this part will come into the then. But the action still remains the same.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah, but then what is the means if amount is less than 0 means what does it means?
That means it's a withdrawal.
Okay,
Deposit
okay,
is amount is greater than 0. If it is amount less than 0, you need to get that part into the withdrawal.
okay.
Clear?
Yes.
So if amount is less than 0 else, then it will go into, that is else part, then it will go into the withdrawal. So whatever checks twice doesn't matter. The reason because if you are checking amount less than 0, this two will get reversed. But the actions that's performing is the same thing. My next if condition that I need to check is whether its amount is, whether the credit type is cash or check. So I need to drag and drop if condition again. If the credit type is equal to cash, then we need to fill the amount into, type into this part. What is the value? What is the amount I need to type? The amount value. Clear so far? If the C type is cache is not equal to cache, that means it's obviously check. So in the else part, I need to type into check. What is the what I need to type? The amount data item only, variable value only. Similarly, another if else goes into the sequence, this part, this side of the area. Similar kind of condition. Yeah.
So here, this if condition we are placing inside the if, right? So how to place this?
Just drag and drop the if inside the if. One side, one inside another. If you look at here, that's what I have done. You can see this is my main if condition. Inside that I dragged and dropped one if here, another drag and dropped one if here. Okay, so in withdrawal, if the credit type is equal to cash, there is no check, there is no cash part in here, so nothing will happen. So you need to skip this. Okay, if the credit type is equal to check, that means in the else part you need to write into the check part. So type into check part. So if the amount is negative, what you need to do is you need to write the positive part into that amount, not the negative part. So I need to convert this amount into a positive part. So what I need to do is amount into -1. Because the amount is negative, first I need to convert that into positive and then write it. Clear? Because my name is choosing withdrawal by default. Next, what you need? Yeah.
Jan, can you please just repeat this? I'm not getting it.
Why am I multiplying with -1 or the whole part?
This part, Jan, this -1 part.
The reason because what we are doing is if the amount is negative, I'm writing that into the withdrawal part, right? That means the amount value is in negative number, but we are not writing negative number in here. We are not writing -900. We are just writing 900. 900 withdrawal itself is like -900 value, right? So you are not writing -900. So I'm converting them to a positive and then applying into withdrawal. Clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it, right?
Yes.
Next, I need to click on the accept button. So again, use click option. If you accidentally choose the wrong one, again click on this hamburger icon, click on indicator on screen. This time choose a correct one. Okay. After you clicked on the accept button, you need to get the transaction ID back to the Excel. So I need to read this value first and store this in a variable, right? So what I'll do is, here we have an option called as screen scraping. The screen scraping will let you read that element. We can either use a screen scraping or there is an option called as get text. The get text also will let you help the text of an label. Now, what is the difference between screen scraping and get text? Get text will let you get the text from a label, means which has in a text format. If you have an image and you want to retrieve the text from it, if you want to apply OCR, then you can use screen scraping. If you have a table, you want to retrieve the whole table into a collection, or you want to retrieve the whole table into a data table, then you can use data scraping. If you want to read a single value and store that in a single variable, then you can just directly use get text. If you want to retrieve a whole table, you have an HTML table or you have a Windows table where you want to read the whole table as a go and then retrieve that, then we use data scraping. Obviously, we'll use this two in future, but just I'm telling you the differences between these three. Clear? Screen scraping is screens. It reads what's present on a particular screen or image or screen and then extracts that from it. Clear?
Yeah. Single text for that we are using get text, and for image data scraping, and for entire table we'll use that.
Data
Sorry,
scraping.
for image screen scraping and for entire table data scraping.
Exactly.
Okay.
So currently we just need get text, so I'm just dragging and dropping get text. And then this is the text I want to retrieve, so just click on here. Okay, I want to store this in a particular variable, so I'll call it as TID, transaction ID. So I read this transaction value. The same thing should be done in else part also. Click on the accept button. Then get text. Into TID. So I changed the scope of it because it was not visible to this else part. So now it will be visible. So we talked about scopes yesterday. See, we need to ensure that the TID gets populated on all the four areas. So then else this transaction ID is getting generated. This side in the else part also it is getting generated, but in the then part where the C type is equal to cash for withdrawal, there is no such thing. So we kept it as blank. So here my TID will be not applicable, NA. So all you need to do is you need to use assign to set the TI to TID value to not applicable. So depending upon which path it is going, end of that one, the TID will gets populated. So whatever path it is choosing. Sort of confusing, is it? This part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there are too many
One more
ifs.
thing, why you are assigning NA?
No, because for withdrawal there is no cash option available. So in the Excel file, if the amount is negative and if the credit type is checked, there is no transaction ID that getting generated, right? So that value is not applicable only, right?
Okay.
Not see, this is not the actual manual process. This is something that we are trying to understand how a particular process will be built.
Yeah, John, can you just repeat this thing what you currently have explained?
Not applicable part.
Yeah, no, this one like not applicable part. Yeah.
See, there are two combinations. First combination is whether the credit type is cash or check. Second combination is whether amount is positive or negative. Right?
Yeah.
Out of these two combinations, we are getting total 4 outputs. The first output is amount is positive and cash. If that is a scenario, I need to fill the cash in value and then click on the accept and get the transaction ID.
Okay.
The second scenario is amount is positive and credit type is check.
Okay.
So amount is positive, I'm choosing deposit, and then I'm getting into check and then getting the transaction ID value.
Okay.
The third output is amount is negative and the credit type is cash. So amount is negative, I need to go into withdrawal. And do you see cash text box in here? For amount is negative, there is no option for cash. There is only option for check. So in the Excel report you are getting, if there is an amount negative and there is cash, so this is not applicable because there is no option for you to withdraw into a cash form. You can only withdraw in check form. So this is, in this scenario, the transaction ID is not applicable and the status is failure.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So let us update the status part as well. So I saw this. I thought this is BID, but it is BID. So let me just change it. Okay. So when you change the variable name, right? That variable, wherever it is used, even there automatically it changes. See, I started with this DID, but I renamed that variable to BID, and wherever I use that variable name also got automatically replaced. So in this particular scenario, I need to assign status as success. Because you are succeeding. In this scenario, I need to assign status as failure. Because this particular path does not exist for check and withdrawal. Again, here status is success. Now let us execute this and see how it's running. Then I'll tell you an easier way to write the same code. So when I close these two applications and click on run. You can see it performed all the values inside the Excel file in a looped value, right? So we are getting into these variables, we are not writing these variables anywhere. Where do we need to write these values into? We need to write these values into Excel. Before I get this, I know if you are writing multiple if else conditions, right? When you are writing in sequence, it is sort of confusing. That is the reason why. So whenever you are using multiple if else conditions, better to write in a flowchart. So what I'll do in here is I will minimize this whole if else part. And then I'll drag and drop a flowchart and show you how visually it looks. See, it's all about how the code looks. Same thing we are doing in flowchart as well, but it kind of looks neater and easier to understand. So I'll minimize this whole if else part and then show you how the same can be written in flowchart as well. There's that part. So just type flowchart and drag and drop that. Okay, so instead of if else conditions, we need to use decision boxes in flowchart. So my first decision I need to check is whether amount is positive or not negative. So type decision and drag and drop in here to check whether amount is positive or negative. So your condition should be written in the properties pane to the right side. So amount greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so you can also write it here as a label. So understand what your condition is about. Amount greater than 0 or equal to 0. This is the actual condition. This is a display name. That is what should be shown here. So it will be easy for you to understand when you look at the code. So if amount greater than is equal to 0, if it is true, then what I need to do, I need to check whether the credit type is cash or check. This here also I need to check whether the credit type is cash or check. If it is true, I am checking C type is equal to cash. Right, that's what I'm writing in display name also. So whatever is there, I'll copy here and I'll paste. Similarly, this side as well. So if amount is greater than 0, true, then you are checking C type is cash. That is also true. Then what you are doing? You are writing into this part, right? So all you have to do is use click option. Before I write that into a decision box. I have to click on the deposit button. So again, display name will be where you need to store what you do. Similarly, if it is false, then I need to click on the withdrawal button.
Jayant, in the left side, so you need to check the cash or check, right? So from there it has to check on this
See, no
deposit
matter
button.
what, if amount is greater than 0, you are always clicking on the deposit, right? Then you are going further. Same if amount is negative, then you are clicking on withdrawal, then you are going further. You can add this after or before, doesn't matter. But if I'm adding it after, I'm right in both the cases. Even in true, I'm clicking on deposit. Even in false, I'm clicking on deposit. Why should I have two click actions when I can perform it only once before only? Clear?
Okay.
Okay. Now, if amount greater than 0 true, then I'm clicking on deposit, and if C type is equal to cash true, then I'm writing it into cash text box. If it is false, then I'll type into check text box. Okay. Similarly, this side as well. If the C type is equal to cash, then I'm not doing anything, so I leave this area blank. If it is equal to false, then I am typing into check text box. It's not equal to cash. If it is false, that is. So once that is over, you need to click on the accept button. So similarly, this side as well, you need to click on the accept button. So either here you need to click on the accept button, or in the cache also you need to click on the accept button. So you can directly drag and drop this in here. And then get the BID value, right? So now once you click on the accept button, you need to use get text. So accept the decision, and if everything else is same, if you observe, and the only difference is how the code looks like. Get that value into BID. Similarly, This side as well, get text. Get that value into BID. Next, set the status value, whether it is success or failure. So for this, both the areas it is success, but for this path it is failure. So let us set them up. So I'll use assign option. But for this one, the status is failure and the BID is not applicable. So I can expand the region by dragging this. Done. So in all the 4 areas we are populating the BID and status. It is the same as above. So let us see what happens when I execute this. So everything went directly inside this flowchart. What it is doing, this particular flowchart. Feed data into any teller and get BID and status. Let us execute this and see if it is any different from the previous action. It did the same thing, but which one you felt to be easy? This approach or the sequence approach?
Flowchart, I think.
Flowchart, right? Because see, we are doing the same thing, but it's visibly good. It is giving a clear sense of what is happening here. So, okay, true, go this side. It is kind of giving you a roadmap. In sequence, it looks kind of messy. So, see, again, I told I can write this in sequence also, I can write this in flowchart also. You saw that I have written this in both the ways, but it's just that which one do you feel more comfortable? So this part I felt more comfortable in flowchart because it has multiple if and conditions and the path is deviating. And the other areas, I'm going in a linear motion. I'm going in a straight line. That is the reason I have given a sequence. There is no if else conditions or anything in the starting. Launching an application, going to Excel file. That is a sequence steps. There is no path split anywhere. So if you are using multiple if it's just a sequence of steps, that's the reason why I given sequence. But when I went into going for conditions, there I am splitting my path. So that's the reason why I thought flowchart is a better option because it gives you kind of an edge how it looks like. It is not confusing also the way it looks. Clear? You can write in both, but what your sense would tell you, okay, this looks a bit messy in sequence. Let us try in flowchart, and that part you can write in flowchart. So what you understood is, in a sequence I can write flowchart also. Inside of flowchart also I can write a sequence. So I do not have to start my whole project in sequence and expect it to write the whole code in sequence only. In the start of the first class, I told we can write either the code in sequence or I can write in flowchart. In a way, I meant I can write within a sequence another flowchart also. It's not like I started my code in sequence, so 100% I should follow in sequence only. Or I started my code in flowchart, so 100% I should write my code in flowchart only. So I'll come next to that. How to fill in TID and BID, I'll come next to that, don't worry. But I just wanted to tell that.
So, Jan, which one is mostly using like sequential option or flowchart option in general?
Yeah, technically, it depends from colleague to colleague, but me as an individual, I always prefer flowchart option because I have come in. I have prior to my UiPath, I was into Blue Prism for last 2 years. So 1.5 year I was in UiPath, but before that I was in 2 years in Blue Prism. So it was easy for me to migrate because I was doing flowchart based coding only. So that's how I was able to. But again, some people feel sequence more comfortable. I have seen a couple of people using, but majority of the people I seen flowchart only comfortable because the look wise it looks really good. But if you are writing, see, your flowchart gets complicated if the code is more. See, this is just a
Okay.
two if else conditions. That's the reason you just saw one page. But let us say that I have hundreds of steps. Now, when hundreds of steps, if it is sequential, it looks good. Even though if it is a straight line, let us say that I have 100 steps, then in a sequence it looks good. But in a flowchart, the map becomes very huge. It looks messy in flowchart also. Got it right? So
Yeah.
if it is just minimal and if there are multiple if conditions, go for flowchart. If it is a big code, then go for sequence because again in sequence it writes one below the other, right? You will not have like going horizontal or that will not mess up your code. Clear? The best approach is always use combinations of sequence and flowchart. That is a good one. Whenever you feel okay, this part I'll write in flowchart, it makes more sense. Then you can always revert to flowchart. If you're using if else conditions, I suggest you to write a flowchart. If you're using circular motion, like if you're using do while, if you're using loops, then you can come to circular motion again, flowchart. Clear?
Okay.
So whenever you have a chance to use if else or do while, don't write in sequence rather than come to flowchart and write it as decision or circular loops. Clear?
Yeah.
Moving on. So now that by end of this flowchart, what are we expecting? We are getting the BOD and success. Now I have to write that back into Excel. So if you remember, I already launched that Excel file in application scope and closed it. So I'm reopening it here again. Again, drag and drop Excel application scope. The workbook path is the same one. And in the do activity, you need to write values. So if you remember, I told you write cell is the option to write it to cell. Okay.
Yeah, means need to little bit practice more because it's little bit like I think.
Yeah, you need to practice a bit. That's the reason I told you to start installing. I'll be giving you a small task so that you'll get familiarity with the actions also. Clear?
Okay, okay.
See, even me, even though I'm using for last 1.5 year, to be frankly speaking, I barely know 100 or 150 at most. I know I can quickly remember another 15 to 20, even though there are 300 actions. because the 15 to 20 I use very often. The rest of the 80 what I am familiar with because I must have used it once or twice in other places. The rest, again, whatever 20 is left, I never used in my life, so I don't even care about them. I used Excel, I used Windows, I used Web, I used Assign. So these are something that I'm using frequently, so I remember they exist.
Okay,
Clear?
okay.
So now this is kind of logic that you have to write where every time you're reading a row, right? So every time you're iterating through a loop, the value you're getting, you're writing into the respective row. That means, let us say, first time you went into the loop, whatever result you're getting, you're writing into the second row because first row is a header. Again, you're going into the loop. This time you're writing into the third row. Again, you're going to the loop. This time you're writing into the fourth row. So what I'm doing is I am introducing a counter. I'm incrementing that counter every time, and I'll write that into the respective cell. Okay, so in my for loop only, the start of the for loop, I'll introduce a counter.
Giant,
Yeah,
one thing.
tell me.
Suppose we have a drop down with multiple values and have to select one from
It's
them.
a select option.
Okay,
It's easy.
that's
We have an option called a select.
okay. That is select option. Okay, okay, fine.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So drop downs, we have select drop down option. From there you can choose. You can drag and drop. Okay. You can either specify the item text or you can specify the position of which you want to choose from. Okay.
Okay, okay. Mhm.
The sign. I'll create something called as a current row. I'll give the initial value as 2 because from the first row you're not writing from the first row, right? You're writing it from the second row. I'm not written here. Okay, so here what is the column you want to write to? D and E. So in the D plus current. See, in UiPath, right? Whenever you're trying to combine two different data types, whenever you're trying to concatenate two different data types, you need to use plus option. Okay. See, my current row is 2. So I am starting with 2. So D2. So I need to use plus to concatenate the D and the current row, which is 2. Clear? You want me to repeat?
Yeah, yeah. Can
See,
you please repeat? Means,
you're going inside the for loop, and then whatever values you got, you need to first write into second row. Once you're done, again you iterate through the loop, get the BID status. Now you'll write into third row. So you're looping through and writing into each row, right? So your starting row is 2, second row, because first row is heading in the Excel, right? You're going inside the loop, getting the BID status value, writing into this row. Again, getting the BID status value, writing into this row, next into this row. So
okay.
here, keep on going down. So what I did is I taken a counter, or I taken a variable called as current row, and I have given the initial status as 2 because my first row is 2. Clear? So I need to write into D2 first time. So D plus what is my current row? 2. D concatenated value 2. Clear?
Okay.
So this is concatenation, it's not addition. You're trying to combine two different variables, two different data types, a string and a variable. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
What you want to write? The BID value. Similarly, into E2. E2 what should I write? The status value. Okay, and that is done. Next you need to go to the next loop, right? And the next loop what you need to do, you need to increment. For next row you are going, so you need to increment your row and then go further. So here I'll write assign. How do you increment a value? X is equal to x plus 1. So current row is equal to current row plus 1. So next time when it is going, it will become 3 and write into the third row. Again, next time it is going, it will increment, it will go into the fourth row, so forth. Okay, so if I execute this one now,
Jayant, one question here. So how are you looping through it from, I mean, where you are looping this?
for loop,
Inside
this
that,
is what
for every,
for each. Inside the for each only I am writing. For each row, remember, we are iterating through the data table, row after row. Inside the loop only I have written all this logic, the flow chart, everything. You can see the highlighted part, the orange part is the for loop. Inside that only everything else is happening. Clear?
okay, again you are opening here Excel and you are writing. Is it?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I have
fine.
one doubt.
So if I show this,
So Jayan, this is another way of means automating that, right? Using that for loop. Means initially just we have followed that we are mostly used that if else condition. Uh, Now this is a path we are looking for loop conditions to do that, right?
yeah, so I'm using for loop condition to write that into an Excel file. Now if I go back to my Excel, it has actually written those values. Doesn't, because I'm not saving it. Okay, let me run it again.
Like a same activity can be do by multiple ways, so we need to pick that which is more convenient and we can do that, right?
Exactly, we can write in 3 to 4 different ways, any activity you take. So you need to feel which is more convenient and you need to do that.
So here it is for each and every row. Every time it is opening Excel, writing and closing, writing, closing. This is how it is behaving.
Yeah, you can change it, you can change its status as well.
Can we use the debug method and see?
I'm going to that. It's not executing. Let me reopen UiPath since the service got crashed. It's not executing anything. Yeah, the service did not start up before. Okay, the BAD message is coming as blank. Let me just see that why.
What is that service?
UiPath robot service.
Okay.
We have created two sets of variables since both scopes are different. I'll delete one set and then just expand the scope for others as well. It should solve the problem. Alright, set. Let me run it now, it'll work. It's writing now. So the increment is not happening because we are declaring that increment value as 2 inside the for loop. So every time the value is getting reset. So all I have to do is whatever I'm putting the counter value as 2, I need to take this out and put it outside the for loop, obviously. Now if I run it, now if I open the report should have got filled. Okay. So I'm giving this application report today via the email. I'll send it to Visualpath and just take it from there. Or I can give you the link. I want you to practice this from your end as well. I want you to try a different approach as what I have started now. I don't want you to use this method. I want you to use a different method to get this done. Okay.
Okay. So one question here. So when you are capturing this, when you're clicking this accept button and reading the transaction ID, so
Yeah.
every time you are clicking, like when you are doing for deposit, you are selecting that deposit radio button, and you are capturing the accept. At the same time, you are selecting the radio button for withdrawal and capturing the accept button.
Because
Is there any
even though the accept button for both windows looks same, their control IDs are different. So whenever UiPath captures a particular control, right, it registers that parameters. So the element parameters are different for both. So I had to capture them independently. I get to know that because it was through my practice. So once you realize that one accept button is not same as the other accept present in a different window, you'll automatically capture two different ways. Clear?
Okay.
Same goes for transaction ID as well. Or else I would have put directly a single one. Here itself I would have mapped it in my flowchart.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So if you remember, I combined these two in here. I would have combined these two at the accept place itself, because from the accept step, everything else is same. You're accepting, you're clicking on the accept button, you're reading on the transaction ID. So those two steps also I would have combined for both, but I didn't combine because those two control elements are different. Clear?
yeah, that's what I got, that one, that observed that one.
Yeah.
Okay. And one more thing, like initially, like we used a sequence, right? Whether you removed that one or you commented out that one.
I removed that one.
Okay. So do we have any facility to comment out certain code in
We
this?
have a comment option as well. So you just need to give like this. It's a comment. Okay.
Okay.